Welcome to another episode of Parenting in the Far North. I'm your host, Ariane Aramburo. Today's guest is one of our very own here at Alaska's News Source, a colleague and also a friend, Chief Meteorologist Melissa Frey. She's been a full-time broadcast meteorologist for more than 17 years, spending the last 8.5 right here in Alaska. She's originally from Oregon, where she met her husband, her high school sweetheart, love that. And they've been married over 20 years, have 2 children, a son in middle school and a daughter in elementary school. Please welcome to the Parenting Podcast, Melissa Frey. Hi.
Hey, hello. So great to be here with you today.
I thank you for coming on. We've kind of had to schedule this back and forth, so I was like, third time's the charm.
Yes.
We were meant to chat today. So before we kind of get into just a few topics that we wanted to talk about, first just give folks a little bit of background on who Melissa is. I know we touched on it here. Folks see you in the evenings, doing the weather and keeping Alaskans covered in that regard, but you also wear many other hats. So
well, when you went through those numbers, I mean, clearly I started when I was 10.
Right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. I'm right there with you.
Yes. So, yeah, I have been here in Alaska for nearly 9 years, 2 kids, as you mentioned, and started in Oregon. I'm originally from Portland, went to school in Spokane, got my degree in journalism and communication there, and then went on to Oregon State University where I got a master's in atmospheric science, so I could put the two together to hopefully communicate the weather accurately. And we lived in Eugene, Oregon for close to 10 years. Mm-hmm. And then we moved here, and we've been here, for close to 9.
Wow. And it flies by, right?
Oh, my goodness.
It flies by.
Yeah. The kids, Anna was 18 months when we moved here, and now she's 10. And I just cannot, when you're little, when the kids are little, everyone tells you it just flies by so quick. And you can't believe it because each day when the kids are little feels like a year.
It does.
You're just surviving.
You're in survival mode.
Yes. And so once they hit school, I feel like is when it really ramped up. And you just blink. And everyone tells you that, and you don't believe it until you experience it. But you really blink, and already once done with elementary school. Now we're talking about high school next year. And
all the feels. I know you have all
the
feels.
I don't understand how it's possible.
Oh, my goodness. I feel you. Yeah, Amelia, my daughter, just turned 9. And I'm like, this is the last year of the single digits.
Oh.
She's going to, what do I do when we go to 10? Was there that shift? Do you remember that?
Yes. It's not that different than 9, but it just makes you feel like, gosh, and you start counting down how many years there's left until they graduate from high school, and you realize how many years ago that same time period was, and it's just, sad and exciing at the same time. It's bittersweet.
Kind of trying to enjoy all the stages of them when they're infant, little, pregnancy, and all of that. Well, I guess backing up, how were your pregnancies with your kids?
They were both good. So I was on air the entire time.
Same.
So, all 9
fun.
months. You got to see that belly on the green screen. We used to joke that, the belly was getting too big. It would block the entire map.
That's true.
Zoom out.
Stand back and just have like a pointer or something.
Yes. And I was on the morning show at the time with both of them, actually. Mm-hmm. So those early mornings. But the pregnancies were both pretty good. It took us a while to get pregnant with both of them. The first one took well over a year. And then about the same time with the second one. So there was much anticipation.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, finally, it's our turn. But the pregnancies were good. And then I went right back to work about 6 weeks after with both of them on television. And that's an experience being pregnant on television and then being a brand new mom on television.
Yes, I completely agree. It's like, and I had a great pregnancy. I was on air, worked right up until that morning that I started to feel the contractions and timing them, and then went to Providence, had her that night, and of course took maternity leave. But, mornings, it fits my personality. If you watch mornings, it's cheery. Your folks are getting up.
Yeah.
But it's open and public that I went through. I struggled with postpartum depression. And so coming back and just kind of trying to lift the stigma off of that was pretty incredible. And once I shared my own personal story and other moms the floodgates open from women and even men, dads saying, that's what my wife is going through and please help. It's just, it just goes to show we're all human. I think a lot of people see us on TV and that we just wake up with makeup and hair done. We do not. We do it ourselves. But we're moms too.
Yes.
We have good days. We have bad days. Our kids get on our nerves,
Yeah. Yeah. Being a mom on television, I would say it is that balance between being human, just being ourselves, but also, you never want to be a distraction to the viewers. So, that's why we do our hair and makeup and our clothes are put together because we don't want to be a distraction. We want that appearance to be professional. But we're also tired. There's days we're tired and we're sick and we have sore throats and dealing.
You hear it sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes you hear it. And so, being able to share that we're human, but then also not being a distraction, that's like a daily struggle.
It is. Well, how do your kids feel about you being the chief meteorologist? Alaska's news source, a lot of people know it as Channel 2. It's a well-respected station across the state. I'm sure you have to go to your kids' schools and the teachers. Are they like, is that your mom's the weather? I get called the news lady, so I imagine you're the weather lady.
The weather lady. Yes, I do remember the transition from when I went from the weather girl to the weather lady. I was like, oh, we're there. I'm a lady.
You're the lady. Yeah, I'm
a weather lady.
News lady. Yeah.
Yes, but being on television and being recognized in the public is part of the job. And fortunately, you get some time to get used to it because you're not recognized right away.
You are not.
It takes some time. And so I think over the years, you just kind of grow to get used to it. And for the most part, people are really nice.
They are.
And kind. But I never thought about, as a mom, the fact that my children would be recognized.
Oh.
And they get asked far more than I ever expected, wait, is your mom the weather lady? And especially with my older son, once he started middle school, he gets asked all the time, hey,
really?
Is your mom the one that's on TV? And he's always like, yeah. And I just asked him recently, how do you feel about that? Does it bother you? Because, I don't want my job to impact his daily life in that way. And he's like, no, people are nice. And I just say, yeah, that's my mom. And they're like, oh, we watch her.
Yeah.
And he's like, cool. And then they go about their business. And I think, so far it hasn't impacted them in a negative way, which I'm glad about.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, same thing. We're out and people will kind of give you that look and they kind of are trying to put two and two together. And now my daughter my mommy's on the news. She's like my little assistant. And they're like, okay, that's what it is. But like you said, most of the time that people that stop you, it's never been rude. And I think people just kind of, you forget you're in their living rooms.
Right.
Every day
right.
we're a part of their families. And so
Yes.
I think it's flattering and humbling. And, I'm grateful for it.
I really love when people don't just say like, hey, are you the weather lady? But say like, oh, I watch you. Or even ask me specific questions about the weather. I always appreciate getting to know the viewer.
Yeah.
And even if people have, some people have opinions maybe about how I deliver the weather or they want to know different information than what I'm giving, I always welcome that feedback.
Yeah.
Because we're just putting it out there and we don't get a lot of feedback from the public of what they like and don't like and how we do it. So once in a while, someone's in the grocery store and they're like, hey, would you show wind speeds more? I'm really curious about the wind speed.
That's interesting.
Or, if there's just something specific that I'm lacking giving out and they want that information, by all means, let me know.
Yeah, we have emails. We're open to it. We do take the feedback. Meteorology, how did you decide that you wanted to go into, meteorology?
Well, when I was a little kid, I thought I wanted to be an astronaut. I was always just in love with the sky.
Gotcha.
My dad, before I was born, was in the Air Force, and we had the opportunity to fly quite a bit as a kid. And so when we would fly, he would talk about what it was like to fly those cargo jets across the Pacific Ocean, and he did so before they had modern-day navigation equipment. So he had to fly by constellations and by wave caps, and he knew all the cloud types, and he just would teach me about that stuff. And I remember specifically in 7th grade staring at the moon. We had to do this project on the moon and just looking at the sky and just being in awe and just wanting to know more. And when we would fly, I would want to know, okay, why are some clouds puffy and some are thin? Why are some big and some small? And so I just had a bunch of questions about the weather and was just kind of fascinated. And I loved when you get like a big rainstorm or a
Yeah.
snowstorm or the wind would pick up. I just thought it was all really interesting. And so in high school, I got the opportunity to shadow a TV meteorologist. And I thought for sure I was going to go into the Air Force and that was my path.
Really?
But I got the opportunity to shadow this meteorologist in Portland. And it just seemed like the coolest job.
Yeah.
I really thought, like, wow, someone, like, they get paid to do that?
Talk about
like,
weather and learn about it.
They get to stare at the sky all day and figure out how it's changing and then help people with that information. Like, that's awesome. And so I was just set at about 16 years old. When I grow up, I want to be a meteorologist.
Really?
And I, went down that path and fortunately, it worked out.
That's amazing. Yeah, me, I thought I wanted to be a marine biologist because I loved whales. Whales, but I was like, science, I was, I was like, that's a lot. But, and I was also interested in being a pediatrician. But I competed in pageants and the public speaking and just being out and about in the community. I was always outgoing. I was in the chaparrals and danced and just kind of was an extrovert, so to speak. And so I took a communications class. I remember my freshman year of college at UAA, and it just kind of stuck with me. And then it just naturally just came to me naturally. I interned, back in the day here at Channel 2, and it just now, I'd have never thought I would be a morning news anchor if you'd asked me growing up, which is crazy how our paths go, but love what we do. It doesn't feel like work. I mean, yes, the early mornings and we have those hard days, but at the end of the day, being in this career, I don't know how many, 16, 17, plus 10 plus years. It's fun.
It is fun.
And it's different every day.
Yes. Yeah. You rarely take your work home with you. Mm-hmm. I mean, I do take my work home with me some, but not in the sense that I have like this big project that I have to work hours on at night. Mm-hmm. It's more like if we have a big storm and I just want to keep watching it and getting information out. But it's completely different every day. So it's never boring. And I don't know if people know in the newsroom, we work hard and we work fast. But there's something that's really rewarding. About the end of the day, you leave and you're exhausted because you left it all on the studio floor.
Yep.
But then you just are proud, hopefully, of the work you did, and you just get to leave it there.
Yeah.
And then it starts
come back the next day. Yeah, it's like it's a whole new rundown, a whole new news story. Producers are filling it in each day, and the follow up. Covering the state of Alaska weather-wise. What is that like?
Well, so before I moved here, I forecasted in Western Oregon, and I had forecasted in Eastern Washington, and I was pretty confident as a meteorologist. I thought I knew what I was doing. I had a master's degree. I had really put in the education and the time, and felt pretty confident. And Alaska humbles you very quickly. I will argue that Alaska probably has the most challenging weather on the globe. We have ocean on 3 sides of our state, countless mountain ranges all around us, and they're not linear. It's not like the mountain ranges like the Cascades or the Rockies are just going north to south. They curve.
Yeah.
And they go different directions.
And they're huge.
And they're huge. They are huge, yes. And so every single day is a challenge of just understanding. And also, we don't watch weather, like in the lower 48, you watch weather form over the Pacific and then move east.
Okay.
So you can track it. You can see it days in advance. And it's typically a front that's going to go west to east, and it's pretty straightforward. Here, things can come from any direction at any time. Does what it wants
to do.
And the storms are born here. That northwestern Pacific is really the birthing ground of storm systems. And so we get those storms in their infancy, and then we get to see them develop. Similar, where there's a lot of news coverage right now on hurricanes going on down in Florida. And hurricanes, you see them, form, and then you track them. We can do that with low pressure systems here. But they will turn and they will get bigger and they'll merge and they'll die.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's very interesting. So I'm always on my toes. I will never be able to master and have 100% accuracy.
And speak to that. I think people expect, like, you said it was going to snow this amount. I mean, stuff happens. Like, you're not in the clouds and predicting it. You're doing the best that you can. So what do you say to that?
I try to explain it like if you were to drop a stick off the Knik River Bridge in Palmer, and you had to tell someone the exact time it was going to land at the Anchorage port. how, you know,
Yeah.
now with physics, you can track some things. You know how fast the water's moving, you know how the tides are changing, you know where the big rocks are, how it's going to move and change. But what you don't know is, say a beaver comes and picks up the stick. Then what?
Yeah, where'd the stick go?
Where'd the stick go? So there's those unknowns.
That's an interesting analogy. That's an interesting way to put it. Yeah.
So we do, I think, a pretty good job with the science, with the math and the physics to be able to track the flow of the atmosphere. We know how fast the winds are going to go. We know how much moisture is available. We know how the pressure is going to change. But there's a lot of unknowns that can sneak in there as well. And we have a number of models that are all computing this. I mean, huge supercomputers are taking in all this data and spitting it out and giving us their version. And we have maybe 5 or 6 of those versions. And so then as a human, I can go in and go, okay, that one is, you know, bogus. That's not applicable. But these ones here in the middle are pretty close. And then tailor what I think is going to happen based on previous events and what I have seen. And I, as a meteorologist, try really hard to let the public know what I know.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, later this week, snow levels are dropping.
The S word.
So you've probably seen some more of that termination dust showing up in the Chugach Mountains. And here, Wednesday night into Thursday, snow levels, right now, it's looking like they'll drop to between 400 and 800 feet. There's a lot of houses in Anchorage and Eagle River that are between 400 and 800 feet. So then the question is, do we get moisture at that time? And it's like a big puzzle that I'm trying to figure out. But the second that I know, oh, there's a potential for snow. I don't know if there's going to be enough moisture, but it's going to be cold enough to snow. I'm going to let you know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hold back any of that information. It does mean you'll hear me say, oh, just kidding. Nope, that storm took a turn or something changed. But I'm going to let you know what's coming. I'll let you know how it's changing. And then hopefully we're pretty accurate. My goal is 3 degrees. I want to be within 3 degrees of the high and low temperature every day. And I'll hit that probably about 95% of the time.
Hey, that's a good track record. Do you have a particular season that you like forecasting over the other?
I really love winter. Those big snowstorms that everyone does maybe not like.
Breaking records. We broke our 100 inches.
Yeah. And when we got 40 inches in a week, those things, when it's anything that's impressive, anything that you go, wow, Mother Nature did that. That's the stuff I like. And I do love active extreme weather. I mean, in the newsroom, I get kind of giddy. And you'll see me on TV when there's like a big storm coming, like trying to not smile. I get a little excited. But unless it's something life-threatening or dangerous, then you'll see my tune shift very quickly.
Well, it's your passion, you know.
Yes.
So that comes through. Do your kids, are they little mini meteorologists?
They know quite a bit. I'm always telling them about the clouds. And when they learn about weather or physics in class, I'm always kind of pressing them. Like, okay, do you understand? Do you really understand that? During COVID was really fun when we had the opportunity to do more homeschooling.
That's right.
I got to do some fun experiments with them. And, of course, they know my little weather lab spiel that I do with elementary kids. I've been to their classes pretty much every year. And I think they have an appreciation. I was hopeful that they would just have an appreciation of nature, especially here in Alaska, how beautiful it is. And I want them to see like a beautiful sunset and understand that that's special, that's beautiful. Or see the changing leaves or whatever it is. And I think they both do have that appreciation.
Which kind of brings me into, we get amazing viewer photos and pictures.
Oh, yes.
What do you have to say to that? Or what can viewers do more, or, in some rural parts of the state where we may not get it all the time? Like, we would love to see and experience some pictures and video because we can't always get there.
Right, yes. That is one really tough thing about Alaska is it's a huge state, and we only have so many weather instruments. We only have so many cameras, and there are a lot of people where I don't have any resources.
Yeah.
And so you may be experiencing weather that is impacting you and your community, and I don't know about it. And so if you have anything going on that's impacting your village, your community, your town, please let me know. Shoot me an email, send us a picture, especially when we have those big storms come through. If I'm forecasting, say, 90-mile-per-hour winds headed across the Bering Sea, and that's hitting Hooper Bay, and you're seeing power outages in Hooper Bay because you already have those winds, let me know so I can pass that information on. Plus, the more data I have, the better the forecast is because I can piece that all together.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Well, and you're not forecasting the weather and you're out. I know you're really connected with your community and family and friends. Talk about that importance for you. And when you're not here at the station, what does Melissa like to do?
Yes. Well, gosh. Someone asked me recently, like, what do you like to do? Like, what are your hobbies? And I was like, hobbies?
What is that?
What is that? We don't really have
Sleep.
time. Yeah.
Mine is napping.
Yes.
So.
We don't really have extra time for
Yeah.
hobbies these days. But yeah, I really feel pretty passionate about this idea that it takes a village. We talk, that's a saying a lot of people use, it takes a village. But being in Alaska away from family, it is challenging raising kids. And sometimes you need help from a friend maybe to get your kid to soccer practice or you're just having a really hard day, or maybe you're in a tough stage you haven't experienced before. And I think having peers that are in the same life stage with kids, that are the same age is so helpful.
Yes.
You can get advice from them, or maybe you can just laugh at how hard or crazy it is at the time. Because, honestly, we're surviving, right? Like, each day is a new day.
It is.
And, like, this morning I woke up, I knew I was doing this podcast with you. We've got this big hurricane hitting. We've got snow levels dropping. That's all in my mind. My son woke up with a fever. So, of course, that takes, first precedent. So, helping him and arranging that. But fortunately, I have an amazing husband. So, we work out our schedule really quickly. How can we help him at home but still do our work responsibilities? And then if you have those friends and that bigger, community, you can lean on them for advice.
Yeah.
I also think it's just as important to have people that are in the next life stage to get wisdom.
Oh, yeah.
Because we don't know what we're doing.
Mentors, yeah. We really
Figuring
don't.
it out. So getting that wisdom from older people is so helpful. And then it's also probably pretty important to pass on wisdom to the next generation. Because each stage, when the kids are little and you're like, okay, I'm going to be the best mom at whatever it is. I'm going to be the best at making food or at
And
discipline.
then you're like, here's some heat up mac and cheese and a hot dog.
Yes. And just as soon as you master the stage and you're like, oh, I've got this. They've grown out of it. Yeah. And they're onto something new. So I think grace, too, is so important to give ourselves, as parents, grace. Because, we're figuring it out as we go. Yeah. We're doing our best.
I completely agree. And a lot of folks who have come on for this, that is a word that comes up. It's just giving yourself grace. And the more you hear that and the more that we have these conversations, I hope it helps somebody listening like, okay, you don't have to have it all together.
Yeah.
One foot in front of the other, one day at a time.
Right.
So.
Oh, it breaks my heart when you see new parents stressing and struggling because they are trying to be perfect. And you have to just drop that idea at the beginning because you're not going to be perfect and it's not worth trying. And I just want to say, like, don't worry about it. It's okay. It's going to work out. You're going to be fine. Don't sweat the small stuff and don't sweat the big stuff. Like, it's going to work out. Trust the process. But it's really hard to, tell someone, don't stress about that.
Easier said than done, but, once you go through it. Lastly, before we kind of wrap, if somebody is interested in kind of going down this path, what advice would you give to them?
Yes, in terms of being like a broadcast meteorologist.
Yeah.
Yes, I would say, first of all, you have to learn the communication skills because if you can't communicate it, it's not super helpful to the public. So, like you said, whether that's in high school or college, is taking the opportunity to learn how to speak in front of a large audience, in front of a small audience, learning how to speak through different mediums. So like whether that's online, digital, is it through graphics or video, whatever, convey a message effectively. Once you got that down. For me, I just took every class in math and science I could get, physics and earth science and math, got that under my belt. So I was ready for the big stuff when it came. And had the opportunity to get the education. And then you just take it one day at a time, believe you can do it.
Do you remember your first time you were on air?
Oh, gosh. Oh, man. I do remember the first. So we send out these demo reels to get a job.
Oh, my
It's like the audition tape.
Let's not even go back
And
to
I
mine.
just recently saw my first one. Oh, man. It's, just so embarrassing.
We'll be sure to link that in this web. No, I'm just messing.
No.
But here we are, a full-blown career, and it's flown by. I know for me, I'm like, I've been in this amount. I'm now that one that people are coming to as like to be their mentor. And I remember I was that person just getting into the business like, oh, this is so cool, covering pumpkin festivals and,
Yeah, whatever it may be. And here we are. And then the challenge now is to continue to learn. I think at this age, it's easy to go like, oh, I know it all.
Yeah.
But continuing to learn, continuing to practice the craft, finding new ways, of just improving the skill set. And hopefully, as time goes on, we'll just keep getting better and more helpful for our community.
Exactly. Well, I will let you have the final word or thought or advice. You can always let my guests close it out. Anything that you want to mention or add that I didn't ask or that you just feel you want to share?
Yeah, I would just say for moms and dads out there, it's hard. When you're raising children, there are hard days. There's really joyful and beautiful and easy days too, of course. But if you're going through one of those hard days, just know you're not alone. We're all in it together. And I think, especially like in TV, like we get all put together and pretend like everything's just fine.
Makeup and hairspray.
Yes. Pretend like
Lots
everything's
of concealer.
fine.
Yeah,
all the concealer. But we're all in it together. So don't be afraid to reach out for help if you need help. And just, get that community. If you don't have a community, find a community. Maybe it's a park play date, whatever it may be. Or maybe your kids are older, finding connections that way. But it makes a difference.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Well, I love chatting with you. This was fun. This was just, I said it's very informal. So hopefully folks got a chance to get to know you and see that we are just run-of-the-mill moms too, having a conversation. Her son was sick this morning, and here we are. So we make it work also. So Melissa, thank you for coming on and sharing. Thank you all for listening to another episode of Parenting in the Far North. And don't forget to like and subscribe. You did awesome.
Thanks. This was fun.